Hello, everyone. I want to ask you something that most people never stop to consider. What is English really for? Is it just a tool for travel? Just a skill for your resume? Just a way to watch movies without subtitles? Or is it something more? Something that changes not just how you communicate, but how you think, how you process the world, how you understand yourself and other people. Because here is what most language learners never discover. When you truly learn a language, you do not just gain words. You gain a new mind, a new way of seeing, a new way of thinking, a new way of being in the world. Here is the truth that most learners miss. If you keep treating English as just a skill to memorize, your progress will always feel slow and frustrating. You will study for years and still feel like something is missing. But if you understand how to use English as a tool for training your mind, everything changes. Your learning accelerates. Your confidence grows. And English becomes a part of who you are, not just something you do. By the end of this video, you will understand why English is one of the most powerful tools for developing your intelligence, how language shapes the way you think, and exactly how to use English to become a stronger, more focused, more powerful version of yourself. Stay with me until the end. Part 1. Language shapes thought. Here is something that will change the way you think about language learning. The language you use does not just express your thoughts. It shapes them. The words you have available to you determine what you can think, feel, and understand. In your native language, you have a rich vocabulary for certain experiences. You have words that capture specific feelings, relationships, and ideas that do not exist in other languages. And those words allow you to think more precisely about those things. When you learn English, you gain access to a completely different set of concepts, a different set of tools for thinking, ideas that your native language may not have words for, distinctions that your mind was not previously able to make. This is why bilingual people often describe feeling like different people in different languages. Not because they change, but because different languages give them access to different parts of their own mind, different ways of organizing and understanding their experience. Training your mind through English means more than memorizing vocabulary. It means allowing English to give you new tools for thought, new ways of asking questions, new frameworks for understanding yourself and the world around you. Part 2. The mind that learns a language. Here is something remarkable about the brain. Every time you learn a new language, your brain physically changes. New neural connections form. Existing pathways strengthen. The brain becomes more flexible, more adaptable, more resilient. Research shows that people who speak more than one language have stronger executive function, better attention, better memory, better ability to focus on relevant information and ignore distractions. A more powerful mind in every measurable way. But this does not happen automatically. It happens because learning a language requires exactly the kind of mental effort that makes the brain stronger. It requires attention. It requires pattern recognition. It requires the ability to hold multiple meanings in mind simultaneously. Every time you struggle to find the right English word, your brain is working. Every time you listen carefully to native speech and try to understand, your brain is building new connections. Every time you speak imperfectly and keep going, your brain is becoming more resilient. This means that the process of learning English itself is training your mind. Not just giving you a skill, but making you more intelligent, more focused, more capable. The struggle is not the obstacle. The struggle is the training. Part 3. Thinking in English changes everything. There is a moment that every serious English learner reaches. A moment that feels almost magical. It is the moment when you stop translating and start thinking directly in English. When English stops being a foreign code and starts being a natural part of your inner life. This moment does not just change your English. It changes your mind. Because when you begin to think in English, you begin to have thoughts you never had before. To access ideas that your native language did not give you easy access to. You begin to understand English humor, which requires a completely different kind of thinking. You begin to appreciate English literature, which opens entirely new emotional and intellectual worlds. You begin to understand English speaking culture, which gives you a broader, richer perspective on what it means to be human. And in your daily thinking, you begin to use English concepts and frameworks. You begin to ask questions in English that lead you to different answers than the questions your native language would have generated. Your thinking becomes more flexible, more global, more powerful. This is why training your mind through English is not just a language goal. It is a personal development goal, an intellectual goal, a goal that will change not just what you can say but who you are. Part 4. The habits that train your mind. So how do you actually train your mind through English? It requires specific habits. Not just passive consumption. Not just watching videos and hoping something sticks. But active, intentional engagement with English as a tool for thinking. The first habit is reading. Not just any reading. Reading that challenges you. Books, articles, and essays that make you think. That introduce you to new ideas. That require you to slow down and understand something you have never considered before. Reading trains your mind to think in complete, complex thoughts. The second habit is listening deeply. Not just hearing English in the background, but sitting with difficult content and working to understand it completely. Podcasts, lectures, and interviews where intelligent people discuss complex ideas. This trains your mind to follow sophisticated reasoning in English. The third habit is writing. Even simple writing. A journal in English. Notes about your day. Responses to ideas you have encountered. Writing forces you to organize your thoughts. To find the right words for what you mean. To think more clearly and precisely. Writing is the purest form of mind training. And the fourth habit is speaking with intention. Not just speaking to practice your accent, but speaking to express real ideas. To share genuine opinions. To have real conversations about things that matter to you. This is where all the other training comes together. Part 5. English as a mirror. Here is something unexpected about learning English deeply. It teaches you about yourself. Because when you struggle to express something in English, you are forced to understand it more clearly in your own mind first. The language gap reveals the thinking gap. Many learners discover that they cannot express certain ideas in English not because they lack vocabulary, but because they have never thought those ideas through clearly in any language. The challenge of expression forces clarity of thought, and that clarity is valuable in every area of life. English also gives you distance from your own cultural assumptions. When you engage seriously with English-speaking thought, you encounter ideas, values, and perspectives that may differ from what you grew up with. And that encounter, that gentle friction between your world and another world, sharpens your thinking. You begin to question assumptions you never questioned before. You begin to see your own culture from the outside, which gives you a perspective on it that is impossible to have from the inside. You become more aware, more nuanced, more able to understand people who are different from you. This is one of the deepest gifts that language learning offers. Not just communication, but self-knowledge. The ability to see yourself and your world more clearly through the lens of another language. English, in this sense, is not just a tool for speaking. It is a mirror for thinking. Part 6. The discipline of daily mind training. Training your mind through English requires consistency. Not perfection. Not marathon study sessions. but daily, deliberate engagement. The same way an athlete trains their body every day, you must train your mind through English every day. What does this look like in practice? It begins with protecting time. Not long periods. Just 30 minutes. One focused hour. Time that belongs entirely to your English mind training. No distractions. No passive consumption. Active, intentional engagement. During that time, you read something challenging and pause to think about it. You write in English about something you experienced or learned. You listen to a complex discussion and try to follow every idea. You speak to yourself or to someone else about something real and important to you. And outside of that protected time, you look for opportunities to use English as a thinking tool. When you encounter an interesting idea, you try to articulate it in English. When you have a problem to solve, you think about it in English for 5 minutes. When you feel a strong emotion, you try to describe it in English with precision. These small habits, practiced consistently, create a mind that is always learning, always growing, always becoming more powerful. Not overnight, but steadily, week by week, month by month. And one day you will look back and see how far your mind has traveled. Part 7. English and Emotional Intelligence. Here is something most people never consider about language learning. Learning English deeply develops your emotional intelligence. Because English has an extraordinarily rich vocabulary for emotional and psychological experience. Words like resilience, empathy, mindfulness, vulnerability, integrity, compassion. These are not just English words. They are concepts, frameworks for understanding human experience. And when you internalize these concepts through the process of learning English, you become better at understanding yourself and other people. You become more aware of nuance in human communication, more sensitive to what is said and what is unsaid, more able to express complex emotional realities with precision and care. And that ability to understand and express emotion is one of the most valuable skills a human being can have. For many learners, English opens up access to a world of psychological and philosophical thinking that was not easily available in their native language. Books on mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and personal growth are predominantly written in English. And engaging with these ideas in their original language deepens the learning in ways that translation cannot fully capture. Training your mind through English is training your emotional intelligence. It is becoming more human, more aware, more connected to the rich complexity of the inner life that all human beings share. Part 8. The Learner Who Never Stops. Here is the most important thing I want you to understand about training your mind through English. It never ends. And that is not a burden. It is a gift. Because a mind that is always learning is a mind that stays young, flexible, curious, open to new possibilities. The research on cognitive health is clear. Lifelong learning, especially language learning, is one of the most powerful things you can do to keep your mind sharp and strong throughout your entire life. Every time you encounter a new English word and make it your own, your mind grows. Every time you understand a complex idea expressed in English, your mind becomes more capable. Every time you express yourself more precisely in English than you could before, your mind becomes more powerful. This is the joy of language learning that most people never discover because they quit before they reach it. The joy of watching your own mind grow, of becoming, gradually and irreversibly, a more intelligent, more aware, more connected version of yourself. You are not just learning English. You are training your mind. And a trained mind is one of the most valuable things you will ever possess. Part 9. From student to thinker. There is a transformation that happens when you truly commit to training your mind through English. You stop being a student of the language. You become a thinker in the language. And that shift changes everything. A student learns rules. A thinker uses language to explore ideas. A student memorizes vocabulary. A thinker uses words to express what they genuinely mean. A student worries about making mistakes. A thinker focuses on communicating truth. This shift does not happen all at once. It happens gradually, as you accumulate experience with the language. As you trust yourself more. As you stop worrying about what English sounds like and start focusing on what English can do for your thinking. And when it happens, you will feel it. You will have a conversation in English about something you care about deeply. And you will realize that you were not performing. You were not translating. You were simply thinking. In English. As naturally as you think in your native language. That moment is the goal. Not a certificate. Not a score. Not approval from anyone. Just that simple, profound experience of thinking freely in a second language. Of having trained your mind to the point where English is no longer foreign. It is simply you. Part 10. Your mind is ready. Here is what I want you to take away from today. Your mind is already capable of everything I have described. The flexibility, the growth, the transformation. It is all possible for you. Not because you are special, but because every human brain is designed for this. You were built to learn language. Your brain is wired for it. From the moment you were born, your mind was training itself to understand and produce language. And that capacity never goes away. It never expires. It is waiting for you right now. What is required is not talent. Not perfect conditions. Not years of expensive study. What is required is a decision. The decision to treat English not as a subject to study but as a tool to think with. A mind to train with. An identity to grow into. From today, every time you encounter English, ask yourself this question. How can I use this to think more clearly? How can this word, this sentence, this idea make my mind stronger? And let that question guide your practice. Because that question is the beginning of real mind training. Final message. English is not just a language. It is a technology for thinking. A tool for expanding the boundaries of your mind. A pathway to ideas, perspectives, and ways of understanding that will make you more intelligent, more empathetic, and more powerfully alive. And here is what excites me about you. You are already doing it. Every English video you watch, every sentence you read, every word you work through, you are training your mind. You are building the neural pathways of a more powerful thinker. You are becoming someone different from who you were last month, last year, last week. You are not just a language learner. You are a mind in the process of transformation. And that transformation does not stop. It compounds. Every day you engage with English deeply, your mind becomes stronger, more flexible, more capable of the kind of thinking that changes lives. So from today, go further. Read something that challenges you. Write something honest. Listen to something difficult and work through it. Speak before you feel ready. Because every one of those acts is not just English practice. It is mind training. It is you becoming the person you were always meant to be. You are not behind. You are not too late. You have not missed your chance. You are right here, right now, at the beginning of something real. And everything you need to build an extraordinary mind is already available to you. Starting with the English you are learning today. Now I want to hear from you. Write one English sentence in the comments. Tell me this. After watching this video, what is one thing that changed in the way you think about English? One sentence. Simple English. Your honest feeling. I read every comment carefully. If this video helped you, subscribe to Gentle Wisdom. And remember, you are not just learning English. You are training your mind. and your mind is capable of far more than you have ever imagined. See you in the next video.